O, O, O. A, B, C, D, E, F, G, Tano. Here, the internet's busiest music nerd. And it's time for a review of the new IDK album, Is He Real? This is the newest full-length album from Maryland native IDK, aka JIDK. He has been making quite the buzz over the past couple of years, turning quite a few heads in 2017 with his thoughtful lyricism and versatile flows on his I Was Very Bad record. He then expanded his profile with a 2018 collaborative EP that saw him working with names like Rico Nasty, Q Da Fool, Wale, Maxo Cream, Damogenesis. He is now making his Warner Records debut with a bit of a miniature concept album here, Is He Real? Now, if you're familiar with Jay's back catalog, you know that he is no stranger to the concept album. Even one of the guy's earliest projects, 2015 Subtrap, saw him rapping and writing from the perspective of, I think, 10 or so different people about drug dealing, the mentality of someone doing such a thing, the effects of it, the culture surrounding it. Yes, a lot of tracks off of this project were heavily influenced by the likes of Kendrick Lamar, I think, from the flows to the instrumentals to the storytelling, but there was still an incredible amount of raw talent and potential in what Jay was doing on this project. Potential, I think, that's yet to be fully capitalized on. So I went into this newest project here hoping that he would. Now, Is He Real gives us 36 minutes of runtime, about 14 tracks. Much of the project focuses on morality, religion, having faith, humanity being flawed, contradictions in religious scripture, and just spirituality at large, which is a very tall conceptual order to fill, especially on a project with this short of a runtime. And the truth is, while I think a lot of the intentions and ideas behind Is He Real are admirable, there isn't really enough length or depth or focus throughout this thing to truly scratch beyond the surface of these topics. And that's not to say there aren't good songs on here. There are, but as a narrative, as a progression, as an artistic statement, Is He Real is not as fulfilling as I think it could have been. Especially as IDK is packing the track list on this thing with all of these shortcuts, all of these interludes, all of these spoken word bits, many of which are nice and are fine and bring a greater context to a lot of what he's rapping about here. But nothing is going to sell this album better than great songs, and there just aren't enough of those here. We have the edgy intro track on this thing, which tells a bit of a story of going to heaven and waiting to go through the pearly gates, and ends with the narrator shouting, "'Cause God isn't fucking real," which even as an atheist myself seemed just like a little bit too overboard. We have 4,200 choices, which featured a great beat, a great flow. The title is in reference to, I think, the variety of different religions one could choose to follow, but you wouldn't know it from the lyrics, as a lot of what Jay is spitting about on this track doesn't really relate directly to that. Jay pretty consistently, though, drops these violent, grim bars, making reference to that while also talking about being young, bored at church, bored with religion, not really buying into God and spirituality as a concept, I guess. After that, calling out, I'm drowning, maybe sort of portraying himself in a dark place as a result of that lack of faith. And it's a good moment. It's a good start to the record. The first half of the song is amazing, but why is there not a second or third verse on this thing? Why does Jay not seem to have more to say on this juxtaposition? There is so much potential in this track, but it's really just a third of a song padded out a bit and then extending into a spoken word bit that sounds like DMX giving a sermon, which is kind of a cool addition to the track list, but I would find it much more satisfying as an interlude if it came right after a song where I felt like I needed a break. Give the audience a more fulfilling musical experience before you drop them off into this bit of audio cinema where, again, DMX is giving this sermon, you have what sounds like our protagonist being baptized, dropped in the water, coming up, having to take a breath. And so far, all of this flows together very seamlessly, another thing that I like about the record, but it's not really until the fourth track that you really get your first well-structured, built-out song, and that's the track Alone, which is very groovy, very laid back, pretty melodic. The song is all about being alone, and not just in the literal sense, but also in the sense that Jay doesn't have guidance or a rudder as he coasts through these really difficult decisions and rough patches in life, talking about people not liking him, being paranoid, being jealous, also rejecting traditional education in a somewhat immature way, telling his teachers to suck his penis. I think there are other smarter ways to write off such things. Unfortunately, Jay just does not really get that across. After this, we have the song 24, which is one of my favorite tracks on the record, but the song pretty much sounds like, as I listen to it more, a heavier version of Kendrick Lamar's Humble. It's pretty much IDK dropping this one nutty, braggadocious bar after another over this trap beat that has a lot of piano woven into it. The flow switch-ups on this track are pretty nice too, but again, why is it taking us till track 5 to get a real fire cut? And when we get it, it kind of sounds like a hit song we're already well aware of. The song Lily is another semi-highlight in the track list for me. Jay's delivery on this track reminds me of some of the more aggressive material Kanye's been releasing as of late. A lot of attitude being shown. I also think there's a bit of an emo trap twist to this song too, with the moody lyrical monologues and the singing. The song essentially being about two people using each other in a relationship for sex, for money. The track is just under 2 minutes though, and it just kind of coasts right into the next cut at a moment where I feel like it could be saying and it could be doing more. The song Porno was a track that I loved quite a bit. I love the message or the theme of blind sex hunger throughout the song with some really, really lewd lyrics. Pusha T has a feature on the back end of the track that is absolutely fantastic. The first verse is a great start. I love the gang chorus vocal break, like right as we go into the second phase of the song where we have all of these girls chanting, "You don't need no job when your pussy is the bomb." I love the rumbling bass, the tongue clicks in the beat. Definitely one of the better tracks on here that doesn't sound like a carbon copy of just another track somewhere else on somebody else's album. The reason I say that is because December with Burna Boy, while it is a great track, I think Burna Boy's singing on this song is impeccable, goes over really nicely and pleasantly. The beat and even IDK's half rapping, half singing on this thing sounds like it could have come from the last Gold Link album. Yes, it just sounds like a Gold Link song. Meanwhile, the track Digital, which I do admit is another highlight on here, some of the flows, and especially the instrumental, just sounds like a carbon copy of Magnolia. Yes, Pierre's production from Magnolia, that Playboi Carti track, it just sounds like he's doing a Magnolia flip. There are some other tracks that do leave the ending of this record relatively strong though. I think that No Cable is a highlight. I think that Julia is a stunning finisher where lyrically Jay goes over some really traumatic events that painted his youth, painted his childhood years that I will not spoil in the record because they are quite intense and again, quite dark. So there are tracks on this record that I liked, verses that I liked, instrumentals I liked, ideas that I thought were great, but it rarely aligned and came together in a way where it felt like I was listening to fireworks or something supremely gratifying. Jay has a lot of fundamentals and ideas going on that are really worthwhile, but a lot of gaps need to be filled in order for this project to feel complete, feel at a satisfying length, and on top of it, feel like he is in a lane of his own on top of all of that, because there are so many moments here that feel very obviously inspired by his contemporaries. In that sense, he suffers from a little bit of Logic-itis, as Logic can't really seem to make any project without making some kind of track or two that's an overt ripoff of one other rapper existing today that he has great admiration for. Jay suffers from that same problem, though he's nowhere near as corny or as intolerable as Logic. Don't take that the wrong way. But I feel like Jay needs to start like really defining himself in his own way and marching to the beat of his own drum if he's going to continue forward and truly stand out as an original artist in the current rap landscape. I'm feeling a light to decent 6 on this one. Transition, have you given this album a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head is another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, IDK, forever.